Hello, dear friends. In the last lesson, we talked about the problem of fatherless families, absent father problem. Now, let's answer an important question. Sometimes a boy gets married at a young age, loves his wife, and starts a family with high hopes. But after becoming a father, he cannot fulfill his fatherly duties. He cannot do that. Who is to blame in such cases? Who? Should we see the guilt in that young father or in society? In general, who should teach fatherly duties and responsibilities? Who is on this mission? Some researchers believe that young fathers are not to blame because they married with love and hope. But after becoming fathers, they could not fulfill their role as fathers. What to do? They have set up paternity training centers to address this problem. For example, there are many such centers in America and Britain. I think this is a very good step. Why? Because there is a saying, instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle. That is, let's not curse the problems. Let's take steps to solve them. Of course, in all societies, there are many young fathers who cannot fulfill their role as fathers. We must protect them. Aggressive behavior against them is bad. We must teach them the responsibility of being a father. Here is another important question about family problems, dear friends. In recent years, the ideas of gender equality and feminism have become widespread. Could the spread and multiplication of these ideas lead to an increase in divorces in families? Let's first answer two questions. First, what is feminism? The second, what is gender equality? Let's start with feminism first. What is feminism, and can be the idea of feminism lead to divorce? This is important question. Unfortunately, historically, women have been considered second-class men. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato said in the Republic, in his famous book, Republic, he wrote, "Women cannot be heads of state." Or another great Greek philosopher, Aristotle, said, "Nature first created man, and when nature weakened, it created women." From what Aristotle said, it is clear that women is a product of the weak times of nature. This view is in fact an insult to women. Even in medieval Catholic Christianity, it was said that Eve was the culprit in Adam's expulsion from paradise. And in the late 18th century, the Great French Revolution took place in France. After the revolution, The Declaration of Human Rights was adopted in Parliament in France. However, the declaration did not give women political rights. Interestingly and surprisingly, women were not given political rights in Europe until the end of the 18th century. That is, women were not accepted as normal citizens in society. In the early 19th century, the feminist movement began in France because the Declaration of Human Rights did not give women political rights. In Latin, femina means woman. The feminist movement began to fight for women's political rights, only political rights. Olympe de Gaulle led the movement. Gradually, supporters of this movement were found in England. For example, the famous 19th century English philosopher John Stuart Mill wrote a book called The Subjection of Women and defended the feminist movement that began in France. And finally, in 1920, for the first time in America and England, women were given political rights. That is, women can also vote and be elected in elections as independent citizens. After this date, women are gradually given political rights in other European countries. And the feminist movement slowed down and weakened until 1960s. Because the main goal was political rights, and feminists achieved this goal. Beginning in the 1970s, a new phase in feminism began. French woman Simone de Beauvoir started a new stage. He taught at the University of Sorbonne. De Beauvoir said, "Women are equal, not only in political rights, but in all rights with men." He said that a woman is not born a woman, but gradually becomes a woman. Society turns her into a woman. How? Society demands certain jobs from women. For example, cooking at home, taking care of children and husband, doing housework, and so on. De Beauvoir said, "From an existential point of view, a person's personality is formed on the basis of what is required of him. That is, a person's personality is formed on the basis of what others demand of him. The same is true of women. Since he is required to do housework, he believes that housework is his job. However, housework is not a woman's job. Women and men have equal rights in all areas." This is a short answer to the question of what is feminism, dear friends. Now, let's answer to the question of what is gender equality. There are two types of sex. First, physiological sex. The second, cultural and social sex. The meaning of physiological sex is clear. But what is cultural and social sex? Cultural and social sex implies activity in public spheres. Proponents of gender equality say, although women and men are physiologically different sex, they are the same in social sex. In other words, women can work in all the jobs that men can do in the public sphere. This means that feminists insist on gender equality. No, I want to answer the question we said earlier. If we approach the issue of the family as feminists and as proponents of gender equality, does this view increase the number of divorces? I will answer this question in the next lesson, dear friends. See you. Thank you for your attention.